mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. You've reached the Brick Something News, which is a weird name that actually doesn't necessarily mean news. It means the needless ephemera we saw. It's me, Brick Something, hanging out with friends, talking about nerdy things that we want to talk about. Some cool things that we've seen that have excited us. And for today, I'm continuing what we have started the last couple of weeks, where I am working my way up to the Mythic Meetup. And really, at this point, we are. The Mythic Meetup that's going to be happening in the Sacramento, California area at the Galaxy Game Cafe on May 3rd. And so starting last week, last Saturday, we got to talk with Nate Barch, the sort of visionary artist behind so much of what we see, right? Yeah, I like that. That acknowledging. And then last Sunday, we got to hang out with Detour, Stef Delator, and Owen Ertling. So sort of an East Coast, West Coast thing, where we got to hear from an East Coaster who has, spent a lot of time at the plenty local shows that happen out there with the Four Horsemen. And then we got to meet someone who's going to be there from the West Coast in Sacramento. And I wanted to continue that today with Stef, Action Figure Girl, the East Coaster right there. What's up?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and if folks have been watching the Brick Something News, you'll recognize both my guests today because they've both been here before. And I'm like, yeah, let's bring them back and let's do this. So we'll hear a little bit from you about your vast experience with the Four Horsemen community out on that side of the country. And then we'll hear from Insightful Imagery, aka Michael Duggar, out of Oakland. What's up, Mike?
What's going on? Good to be here, man. That's right.
Welcome.
Hey, yo, Mike.
Hey,
welcome back. So if you have been enjoying the couple of the first couple of flyers that have come out, I really wanted to represent the West Coast well and the West Coast Mythic fandom well by
I think you've done that well too, Brick. Yeah,
great, and using that guy's photos. He's a multi-talented guy. So the first couple of flyers have featured his artwork, his photos, as well as the things he creates. He creates these amazing props for photographers like himself and others. He's designing them, he's doing the sculpting, he's printing them, he's painting them. And right now I know for a fact, and we'll hear from him, that he's a busy elf in his little workshop prepping for May 3rd, as well as, of course, for the big show in November, Legion's Gone. So that's a plan for today. Sound good?
Yes.
Sounds great.
Yeah. And thank you both again before we start for coming back. I know it's not just Sunday, but I don't know, it's a busy day for a lot of folks. It's Easter, if that's your thing. I know it's usually a family day, so I appreciate you for agreeing to do this on this day. And, if you're so inclined, it's also 420. So if that's you, I hope you're having a really fun
good time.
Anyway, so actually, we're talking all about sort of this Mythic Meetup. So let's go ahead and start there, and just to kind of remind people if folks aren't familiar, and then we'll circle back to what did I do with it? Sorry. We'll circle back to some other sort of Four Horsemen related things before getting into what your all experience has been with the Mythic fandom. So here we go. I go like this, and then hopefully it works. Yay? Nay? Oh, hey. Okay, so this is West Coast Mythics. This is the show that we've been talking about. Please follow us, even if you're not planning on going on the show. We part of this whole West Coast Mythics thing is not just to do the one show in Sacramento, but to support other shows like this happening on the West Coast, because I think a lot of people have reached out and they're like, hey, why can't this show be happening in this part of California where I'm at or whatever? And I'm like,
you did hear that a lot, quite often, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And part of what I've come to understand myself is that so much of this is driven by fans and people who are
grassroots,
right?
baby. It is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the DIY. You just sort of make it happen. That's what your joy is. And I really wanted to someday go to this. So I've never been to California.
Well, hey, come out and hang out.
To be, around my people, my toy family, and then just see stuff,
So, again, this is a small grassroots thing, but part of this is, sign up or follow this Instagram. And then there's a sort of an RSVP that I'll get to in a second. But part of this is also just identifying people all up and down the West Coast who are into this. Because frankly, we don't get a whole lot of events where the Four Horsemen will be out here or like a street team will be out here. So I know people are hungry for it. We also don't get a whole lot of toy shows where necessarily there's like a good concentration of other indie toys in addition to what Four Horsemen are doing, as well as all the great stuff that comes with the Four Horsemen fandom, like all the custom creations that we can look at, all of the cool stuff like that Michael and others are doing where they're creating things that can we work into our toys. So if you're not necessarily going to come to this one and you're on the West Coast, but you're interested in seeing this sort of thing happens, support this event by just following it, but also reaching out through the RSVP thing, which I'll get to, so that we know who you're at. And we're in touch with the Horsemen, and they've already shown that they're interested in, supporting these events where it seems like the ground has sort of been laid by the local folks. And so they've, Jeremy was just saying the other day, I asked him if the La Mirada Geekin' Out show is happening. And he just said, we haven't heard from them yet, but he would love to come back, especially since it's an opportunity for him to go to Disneyland. But
makes sense.
So again, just to show you, this was our initial save the date, but photographed by that guy down there.
Yes.
And Michael, I hope you're okay.
You did a good job. I like it.
Cool.
I like it a lot.
Oh yeah,
I was gonna say, Michael, great. I hope you're okay with my cropping jobs, because it's always tricky. No. It's like I don't want to totally mess up your photos.
No,
and Stef understands that.
Yes, I more than you know. That's great.
So it's cool to sort of feature his artwork, his photos, but also, here's the second one that we put out with sort of the list at the time. There have been some additions as well that aren't on here, but, here's the sort of list as it was. But more importantly, that's a Michael Duggar photo right there with an insightful imagery prop, right? That's one of your books.
Book.
Oh, yeah, the book. Yeah, made the book.
Oh, you did? You made it?
Yeah, I made the book. Yeah,
I love how it's like it's really ancient. Like you didn't skip that detail of like big plates and like the ornate border and so forth. Really sells it. It's cool.
That was old illuminated text. It's so cool, and it's perfectly scaled, and it's perfect for this character.
I know.
The lighting, this we'll get to his stuff for sure, because this guy's mad talented too. But you can sort of see here who all is on the list thus far. We went over it last show. There's cool. Michael. I'll be there. Hey, and so a bunch of folks will be there, including who's not on here are Curtis is actually going to be making an appearance. Curtis,
he is. Yes, good job, Curtis. That's awesome. Yeah, you'll love catching up with him.
Yeah, he's going to be coming out for a different thing. Completely coincidentally, he's here for a family thing.
Oh, yeah.
In that area, about, I think, an hour away. So he's just like,
okay, he won't miss the opportunity for sure. Like when cosmic lines intertwine, it's like, got to do it.
Yes.
It's awesome to hear.
He'll be there for the first part of it. So if you want to see him, come early, because he'll be there in the morning. And and
Spiro
Anyway,
Toys. That's awesome.
yep. Spiro Toys. All these
Lovely.
folks will be there. Jay's Armory, local dude who does great sort of 3D printed accessories
Okay.
and stuff, and is a talented painter who will also be running the painting contest that we're doing.
Oh, you're doing a painting contest? That's
There's gonna
fun.
be a painting contest, and if folks who
Yes.
enter will get, essentially you get a free head that you get to paint at the show, and so there's that. There's
Nice.
going to be dio making sort of contest. If people bring their dios, there'll be a panel of judges, and they can win prizes, as well as like all these people sharing their stuff at their table. So
yeah,
Cool.
so that's the idea. And then and part of going through this is helping people envision what these things are, right?
and what they can do ultimately.
Exactly.
Because there's going to be people that just sort of stroll in or get word of it, or is a friend of a friend that came along, and really that's all it takes. I mean,
Yeah, first.
I think we're just like nerds that get really excited over the little things. So but
absolutely, that's well described. And then here, of course, this was the third flyer that sort of went out, or third post, I guess, that went out featuring this one figure that I know a lot of people are into, the legendary barbarian. And it is Ramirez, who's kind of one of the lead organizers of this thing, who started it up 3 years ago along with Walter Hagen when he was living out here in California. And so he let out on PGG, I think it was last weekend, that the legendary barbarians will be there in small numbers, and we're sort of figuring that out. But this could be an opportunity for anyone who's wanted this figure to check that out. But there's going to be all sorts of great figures that people want that might be at the show. So if that's a thing for you, come through.
Cool.
I will highlight this. That this is that RSVP form that I was telling folks about. So if you're a California person, or a Oregon person, Portland person, or a Washington State person, and you're like, I wish we had more stuff out here where the Horsemen would come through, I would say RSVP using this form, but it's not necessarily an RSVP for you, because it says there, are you coming or not? And that's fine. But there's also the question of, even if you're not coming, are you interested in seeing more of these events by you? And it kind of asks you where you're at, because we're also sort of taking the opportunity to gather information to hopefully pass on to like folks at the studio, like, hey, check it out. These people really want something.
Yeah. So I'll definitely promote that then. Yeah.
Please.
Absolutely.
And then of course, we are doing our first giveaway at the event. So this is how you would enter. You do have to be at the event to win. So just really trying to think of all the different ways that we can make this event a fun gathering of us, like, celebrating our fandom for the Four Horsemen, indie toys, and all the customizing and all that kind of stuff, toy photography, to give people an opportunity to actually not just buy from the Horsemen, but buy from folks like Michael in person. You'll see some of his stuff later in the show. Carver Customs will be there selling their awesome stuff.
I did hear that Brian's coming. He's making the trek. That's great.
Good.
It's great.
Jay's Armory will have their stuff. And then if you're concerned, like, oh man, but I really wanted the retailer exclusives, and I know the Horseman doesn't sell those, we have a 4-H retailer that will be there, the local one into Sacramento, and that's Geekology. So all of those Four Horsemen retailer stuff, if you've been looking for them, the retailer appreciation stuff, they'll be there too. So
I would love if someone could live stream from there, just because every time there is events and you can't make it, it's kind of cool just to get a quick walkthrough the event, something.
True.
Well, we have trying to suss out what the situation is, but I'm sure it'll happen. And Curtis is going to be there, and he'll stream it, and of course this guy. And here's the other piece of it, right?
Yes,
the opportunity to meet folks from the studio as well as other fans. So Nate will be there. You want to talk to him about his art. He usually brings prints, and I'm sure that's happening this time as well. I've been shy about it. Like my first time I brought something and never asked him to sign it. I think I did that the second time too. This time I'm going to make him do it
2 times. Nate's a special guy, and
no, I just didn't want to
take the time.
Yeah, no, we talked the whole time. We totally talked, and I got to know him. I just got shy about being like, oh, hey, we've talked. You're awesome.
Right.
will you sign this?
Yeah.
So
I guess I get it. I actually
but
took a
other
photo
folks-
this year too with
Yeah.
with some of the guys. It's like my first photo. I'm like, let me get one.
and
This
you've
is
been
funny.
there for
I
so
know.
long. See, so you know how it is. We
Mhm.
get
Yeah,
fun
yeah,
in our heads. But Nate's super cool, and if you missed it, he and I did get to hang out last Saturday on a stream here on the channel. So check that out. Brilliant artist. I love the way he talks about his work as well as his work on the line. Always fascinating. So check that out. And again, there's all the links and stuff. Okay, that's the business with the show. First off,
Konnichiwa.
Hey, Trey.
Sorry.
Oh, well, that's
I'm,
what
like,
I was
reading the
about to say
chat.
was we should definitely say hello to the chat. So now that folks have
Yes.
trickled in, let's start with this guy saying, hey, what's up, folks? And let me move you there for a second. I'll go here and then I'll go here. The guests never get blocked. What's up? Blake, who will also be there.
Yes, that's
It's
cool.
ephemera
Nice.
time. He's going to be coming out from Oregon, which is awesome, from Portland.
Wow.
Nice. That's
There's-
a good, easy trip.
Larry's Geeky World is in the house. Do you know this guy, Steph?
No. Yeah.
No, what's up?
I happen to
Dave?
know.
Dave is here.
Hey, Dave.
Vaz Zone. I'm gonna assume it's both Vazes, maybe. But anyways, hello to you both. Whoever's on the other end of that.
The fast
Rick
zone.
Jones is here. Who is
Hi, Rick.
kind of by us, actually. Michael, he's sort of based closer to the South Bay, San Jose area, and he
Okay.
has given me the thumbs up. He's coming, which is
Oh,
awesome.
nice. Nice. Right on.
This is one of those things where we see each other in chats, and we've seen each other's names and chatted all the time, and this will be the first time
The
for us
first
to
time
meet
we
in person.
actually meeting.
How exciting.
Wow.
Always great to see Josh here. Every time he's always posting about the show, and I really appreciate you, Josh. One of those amazing, like Michael here, like he's doing such a service for the community by putting out cool 3D parts for legions and all sorts of other figures on his store. And so I'll bring that up later.
Look at that spooky Zorro.
Yep. Fellow
You were never-
Californian.
Right
He
on.
says, how
I know.
have you never wait, yeah, I gotta figure out what
How
you're
you
trying to
never
say there,
had me.
Rob, but I'm assuming you're saying, how have you never had me on this cool show, Brick?
Yeah.
Lies
He's
and
got
deception.
FOMO. Oh,
No, lies and
he must-
deception. He's been on this cool show before. He, in fact, was so cool. He gave a guest. He did a little giveaway, which is awesome.
He did. Nice.
Mhm. And I know this show is a little far for him. He's down in the LA area, but
Yeah.
he's one of those who, like, I would love to see other folks in his area putting together a show and maybe get the Horsemen out that he can, attend.
Yeah,
and be a part of.
definitely. Rob's
Look at this. It's Action Figure Girl.
It's me.
Ray Paz is
Ray
here.
Paz.
Good
Hi,
to see
Ray.
you. Zio Adams. What's up? On
Hey,
the whole other continent. Hello, sir. I don't know what time
Wow.
it is for you. Kirby's here. What's this? Steph on Brick's channel? Steph has been here before as well. So this is Steph
I
is
make
a
surprise
second time.
visits.
NYC Figure Fanatic is here. Yer, what's up? Another one of those who clearly has had the advantage of being on the East Coast next to where the Horsemen are. So
Yes.
he's here again. Solo Sinner, what's going on? Good to see you. We
Hi.
got Derek
Yeah.
Dalzell. Hello, all.
Hey.
Thanos, of course, is here. Thanos is
Thanos.
another one of those who I spent so much time, hours and hours,
Hours.
both in chats and on the same streams, and we have yet to meet each other in person. So the West Coast Mythic Meetup will be the first time we'll get to.
Oh,
actually hang out.
cool. Nice.
Oh, he's from West Coast too? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Thanos.
yeah, he's coming
Okay,
up from the Central Valley area, so
Okay.
he'll be
Cool.
up here, which is cool. Tiffany Mythic Dolphin, hello to you.
Hi,
Hope
Tiffany.
you're doing good. And then let's just ask this question for the panel: why is the West Coast the best coast? I have my own thoughts and my opinions, but I'm not a big person to sort of create unnecessary tension. We're all in this together at this point.
I think
I
just
could-
because it rhymes.
Kirby's just a charming man. That's what it really is.
Yeah, I know he is.
He's beautiful. Yeah, there you go.
Nolan, hello to you.
Hi, Nolan.
Awesome. Love that you are here. And just going to bring this up because, sometimes things get confusing for folks. Yes, if you enter the painting contest, you will get a free custom head to paint. Wholesome Warlock, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Look at that. We got that purple and brick, that purple love.
Purple brick love.
This guy, Trevor 16 Shooter. What's up? Photographer from the Four Horsemen and every other, I feel like every photo, every toy line that he takes photos of, I buy way too much of. I don't know if that's, there's a parallel there. And Trevor and this guy hang out all the time. You guys are toy photography comrades, huh?
Yeah, on the show, on Maz's show, yeah.
Yep, they're both on the Maz's toy photo. And let's see. Alchemist is here. Hello.
Hey,
good to see you.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
It's a new name to me, and thank you so much for checking out the show. All right, and I'll go back to this real quick. Konnichiwa. I hope you're having a great time in Japan, and I am incredibly jealous for a number of reasons. One, it's not here. Two, it's Japan. Three, it's Star Wars Celebration. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's
deeply jealous.
Yeah, I was really impressed to see that he was on a panel. In fact,
yes.
Yeah.
Oops, yes, he was showing his
So cool.
Star Wars toy photos. It's just cool.
Yes.
It's it's been a long time in the making, so I'm glad that worked out. And let me go ahead and put that there. And you're absolutely welcome, Josh Brown. Thank you, man. And check out his stuff at joshbrowncustoms.com. And be careful because you'll probably spend a lot of money. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room before we get started. We could talk about this Mythic Meetup and all this stuff, but as Rick Jones is saying here, is telling Trevor, hey man, you did some great stuff on that Ganesha photography. Let's head over here. And what he's talking about is this.
So beautiful. I know.
Yeah,
I was shocked.
Yesterday morning.
Really
Actually, help me out. When did this drop? This was Friday?
The teaser Friday, Saturday was the drop. Saturday morning.
So this was the teaser, with this gorgeous sun. I mean, right away, a lot of us, including myself, saw the sun, saw the, you're just like, okay, I know where that's from. And then the tease of there are no obstacles to the next figure obscura. And if you know anything about Hindu gods and the different deities, you know that you might. I mean, most people, I'm sure, when they see this thing, they're like, "I've seen that before," whether you knew what it was or not. But Ganesha, child of Lord Shiva and Parvati, is known as the deity who is the breaker of obstacles, right? The destroyer of obstacles, or push you through whatever you are dealing with in life. So
what a great first choice too. I think for sure.
Yeah.
We definitely need that in this time and age.
Oh, thank you, Steph. You're absolutely right. We definitely do.
Yeah.
But when I saw this, I was like, okay, this has to be Ganesha. There's no way it's not. And it turns out it was, as revealed yesterday. This is the photo that Rick Jones is referring to by Trevor. And check out this beautiful figure that was made available yesterday morning.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I like how he's holding the rat up because normally he rides him. He can carry him anywhere, or at least in some of the stories. And that's pretty beautiful. It's a neat moment that we're spying in on.
It's a nice, quiet, moment, right? And I like that. I love that, we're so used to the intense Mythic Legions action shot, like I showed you earlier with the legendary barbarian. This is a different vibe. It's beautiful. As a photographer, you want to give him a critique? You want to what could he have worked on? Michael, let's put him in the hot seat. No, I'm kidding.
You know what though? I think from somebody like me who doesn't really know a lot of the backstory of a figure like this, just from a photographic standpoint, this figure is so full of detail and texture that it'd be so fun to photograph. I mean, it's just there's
the colors alone.
It'd be just awesome to photograph. This is a great photo.
Trevor shines on the figure obscura. So if you're not super familiar with Four Horsemen or how they do things, they effectively at this point there are 3 active lines. There's Mythic Legions, Figure Obscura, and Cosmic Legions. And Figure Obscura has kind of become a sort of seasonal thing that happens. There's been sort of these regular times when you get a surprise drop. And so Friday was a tease for the drop that would happen on Saturday. And what's unique to these is that they're actually in stock. These aren't things that they're developing and pre-ordering. When you order it, they prep to ship it out because they actually have them in hand in the studios and people are going to get them pretty quickly. I mention all that because that means when Trevor takes pictures of these, he gets to actually take photos of the actual figure rather than the prototypes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love his photos for Figure Obscura because I feel like he takes advantage of that, right? The posing is, he can just he doesn't have to be as precious with it. And this is, I love the way he's sitting. The hands are perfect. I'm pretty sure that Trevor must have done some research to sort of create this depiction. I love it. So well done.
Yeah.
Here's the rest of the photos. Did you all pick up Ganesha yesterday?
I did.
I didn't yet, but I will probably today after the show.
I did as well. And actually,
they're not available right now, right?
Oh, they're not.
Oh.
No, they sold out. There's only 2 drops. So the first drop was in the morning, and previously they would do 2 drops for Figure, and one at morning and then one at night for the West Coast. But this time, because we had Bayether so close to this drop, they're going to wait to do another sale in about a month.
Oh, okay.
Well, actually,
right?
So it looks
or
like
am I wrong?
Well, no, it's the all-ins are sold out. So if you were trying to get the all-in, which
I
comes
thought the whole
with
thing
the
was
figure,
okay.
The figure, the pin, and the cup, or the cup. I'm sorry, the pins themselves. Those 2 things are sold out currently, and then the figure and then the cup alone are still available. But
I am so sorry to say that.
No,
I got wrong information from my friends.
No, you're all good because but it will be so you could order it but then when it sells out, they are doing a second drop. You said in about 2 weeks or so. Is that what they said? Did they give a date yet?
I don't
know if they did. Yeah, I don't think they did.
It's
I'm not sure, but then you'll be able to order those all-ins. You'll have a shot at the all-ins again. This is my first all-in, and I'm a fan of one, I've seen Ganesha in some form all my life just because I grew up in LA and this was just sort of things that you would see. And I've as a kid, of course I want to know like who's the elephant guy, who's like, what's the deal? And so, my parents explained as best they could. And then, later on, I'd just see these things and I do my own research and it was just kind of intrigued by it. But so it is still available. It is $70 for the figure, and it comes with a ridiculous amount of things because that's how these figure obscuras do. A ton of accessories. They do. Impeccable in terms of like presentation. The soft goods on this thing by CJSM, like we know they do good work, but this is like they're doing the
they almost look like silk pants. Are they? Oh, it's so
it definitely looks like that material, like silken kind of sheen to it. Which is gorgeous.
Colors are great. Yeah, I was drawn to any of the deities like when you first start learning them in school, and just because they're so colorful.
Yeah,
it makes
no, totally. They're
more
like
attractive than
In fact, I have forgetting his name, but there's a Pixar animator. I'm totally blanking on his name, but he has a whole sort of little story about how as a kid, so he grew up Hindu, and as a kid, like he saw these deities and heard these deities, and to him, he says these were like my first superheroes, like effectively. And I'm not at all trying to, minimize this major world religion that is actually something that people still adhere to. It's huge, but to him as his kid, like growing up in the 80s, sort of knowing what superheroes are in comic books, but also like loving what his family taught him about the Hindu faith and the different deities. You know, he talked about it as if like, and he has a whole storybook about it. I don't know if he ever animated it, and he does beautiful art where you kind of like learn about each of the deities. So
cool.
Anyway,
yeah,
I will say also that I just appreciate the Horsemen for tackling this subject matter. I appreciated them for doing like
definitely
Sun Wukong as well. Right. I think that was maybe one of the earliest times you and I interacted, Sebs, when I posted something about.
That's exactly it. Yeah. The same timing.
Yep.
Sure.
When I posted about Sun Wukong and how much like I appreciated the fact that they were digging into like, you know, Chinese mythology and Chinese lore and this journey to the West stuff. And I was like, this is so cool to see these kinds of things in this pop cultural space, but also done with so much clear like reverence and
we need to embrace like universal types of archetypes, I think, for sure.
Look at the shot, Trevor. Seriously.
I know. That's the best one. That's my favorite.
I was getting closer
so
to the screen to look at it.
Here you go. Yeah, no, we got
to give you the eye too.
Here, let's get a loop. Let's get a loop. Old school loop and go in there.
All right.
But look at all the sculptural details.
Yeah.
Like that's some treadaway magic there.
Just the beads.
And then they made the trunk bendy. Woo.
Oh, they did? Oh,
yes. Yes. Good choice. Love that. He's got the dad bod going on. Like it.
And as you said, the beads and the paint on that, the sculpt. Look at all this. It's gorgeous. It's perfect. It's such a great.
The turquoise pops. I mean, next to the gray.
That is nice turquoise. Those turquoise, hanging down from the buckle there. That's beautiful.
And I already know there are people who don't collect action figures that are really excited about this, because I may or may not have sent it to some people who don't do the toy thing, but I know they you know, culturally they know Ganesha. They grew up with it, and they're excited. Like, what is this? Here's another beautiful photo, again by Trevor. Just
awesome.
Having a reflective moment in the woods. Look at this guy. Look at the trees, man. Isn't it great to have trees like that to photograph, Michael? Wouldn't it be great if there were more trees in the world for people to That's some foreshadowing for your work.
I just ordered the figure too, so
there you go. Done and done. You helped accelerate that process, Stef. I'm sure he's just like, I better jump on it before
I better get it.
No, it will, no doubt.
Nothing sells a figure like it almost being out of stock, right?
Yeah, it's so true.
Well, on that note, I will say, this is one of those figures that is in stock now. And you can grab it. And again, in a couple of weeks, it'll be available. But
someone specified that they had a question about the trunks, and one is solid and one is bendy.
Yes, there are two.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah,
that would be right in here. You can kind of see the one there on the next to his foot. Yeah. One of them is bendy and one of them is sculpted. So sculpted with Anyway, so thank you for that, Matthew. Yeah, 100%. One is solid and the other one is on a bendy wire. Sweet. They're all over it. They're like,
they are. They know their stuff.
Towerette, hoping to have Towerette figure to follow. What's up, Ken? Man, that's the thing. The beautiful thing about Figure Obscura is like, I was starting to say it's one of the 3 active Four Horsemen lines. It's a little bit unique in that they don't do like big waves. They release in one release at a time. Yeah. But we also know, based on what they've released in the past, that they're not shy about doing sets. So they've done like the Krampus and the Father Christmas, which you could see as a set. But then if you're not really buying that as a set, they're going through the Charles Dickens Christmas Carol. A couple characters. So there's nothing to say that they wouldn't do additional Hindu deities, just like they wouldn't necessarily. We don't know that they might not in the future do more Egyptian deities and so on. Yeah. So
certainly opens it up.
Yeah.
So this thing
we got another figure with 4 arms. I'm a sucker for 4 arms.
Me too.
3 eyes.
100%.
Yep.
First it was the what was the One of my favorite figures, and I'm blanking now because it's so
Christmas
colorful.
Past, Olithia.
She's beautiful. There's Alithia, and then there's also the one
Okidatus.
Okeatos. Yeah. That beautiful blue with the bony blue. Yeah.
I know. People make fun of him, but I like him. He's fun.
Come on now.
I know.
But I will say this. This is something you can get for sure online. I also know that this is what they're calling a touring figure. Do you know much about that concept, Stephanie?
Touring figure? Meaning?
Yeah, they're saying that this is going to be a touring figure that's going to be available at different shows.
Yeah.
Have you heard this?
So they'll make sure that they have it available.
So my understanding is that this figure could pop up at upcoming shows where the Four Horsemen are at, right? And there's a couple of those.
Right. And we'll find out next week if they do bring it with us.
What's happening next week? Next week is
Toy Con, New Jersey.
Hey,
one of the original one of the original shows that they started doing in New Jersey. It's close by to them. And
so this is
the first time I seen their toys when I went to one of these. And there was like a line wrapped around this building. So
well, that's exactly why I wanted to have you here, because I know you've been around for a while and you're based on the East Coast, and you're obviously like super into what the Four Horsemen do, and you've had an opportunity to see them regularly. So this whole idea of like seeing some of these figures like Ganesha at a show, like that's not new to you, right? You've been to all these sorts of different shows and picked some figures up.
Yeah, and it is a good time to talk with your friends that come, but also talk to your friends at the studio, because they always take the time to explain anything you have a question about or are interested in, or talk about other toys. Pretty much.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about when the Horsemen are at a show, right?
They're very supportive.
Super accessible.
Yeah, very supportive. Whether it's something you're working on or something that interests you. It's just it's fun like that.
Sorry to keep interrupting.
That's
this is a show that you're going to be at next week, and just to tie it back to Ganesha, we don't necessarily know if Ganesha will be there. But we'll find out, like you said, next week if they will. But I do know, Jeremy said that this is what they're calling sort of a touring figure that will be at these different shows.
Okay, well, maybe I'm getting in the weeds here, but perhaps it's a touring figure because a lot of times when they do a drop, and previously it's always been a pre-order, so they're not going to take what they what just comes in from that pre-order and go to a show and sell it before taking care of the people that first bought it. They wouldn't do that. So in this case, since it's in stock, I don't see why they wouldn't, even if I don't get my figure. And I believe even last year that happened, where I went to I ordered it and then I went to a show that it was there, and so perhaps that's the intent of calling it that, a touring figure.
No, and they've said as much, and I know that that's a thing that they
it just
try
happens.
To do. So so we'll see what happens next week. And I'll also say that on May 3rd, there's going to be a show here on the West Coast, and like we'll see too. Maybe if they're starting to pop up in other places, who knows? Maybe they'll pop up at the West Coast Mythic Meetup too, which would kind of be rad, because that would be the case where it would make it that much easier for this guy to buy a second. So
that's usually what happens too.
Because if folks haven't been following it, not only is it like a great figure, it's fully compatible with all their other stuff, but Dorklair Bill always gets the opportunity, has started this tradition of getting the opportunity to review the released figure obscura figure, and usually on the day of the drop, his review drops as well, and pretty much like clockwork, his review for Ganesha dropped yesterday, and it is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, please definitely check it out, because it'll give you a really great sense of what the figure's all about, and he does such a good job. But I'm going to fast forward because I'll just show you that he also sort of breaks down all the accessories which is so cool. So
Yeah,
you
he
know,
always
like,
answers the questions that you're thinking about it. So it's good. He's analytical like
everything.
that.
He's
I'm super
so thorough.
curious, Brick, not to interrupt you, but
Yeah, what's up?
normally there's always like a little hidden Easter egg for the figure. So what is it with Ganesha that's going to be special? I wonder if there is any. I like surprises.
I wonder. I know that usually there's like a
No, I'm
free,
saying.
there's like a gift for the holiday ones, right? So this isn't a
Yeah.
holiday one, but like
Yeah.
you said, like with Red Death,
Yeah, Red
they had
Death.
a little bit of a reveal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
That's a good
not,
question.
maybe. Where could it
Yeah,
be if it was? You know, if there is a little hidden treasure, what would it be?
I
In maybe his
mean, there's so many
crown or
places to
I
hide.
know. Anyway.
I mean, the guy, he comes with so much that
I know. It's not
and
like
he's
I'm
got those.
asking for more, but I always like the twists and things until you get it in
Yeah,
hand, you know.
I think it's a great question. I do not know, and
Yeah,
even if it's like
maybe
a
not.
little, I don't know. I don't know.
Doohickey. Yeah.
I'm not so great at this, but I will just say that like all of this stuff, like again, Bill does such a great job of showing me
He
the
does.
soft goods, how they're connected, and then I will also like cover your eyes, kids. He disrobes the figure, which is really exciting. And this is to get to my point about getting a second. This is why I want to get a second, because I saw him break this down, and I'm like, one, I want the different body type. I think that's really cool to have an extra. And he also does his pop and swaps too. So he, you know, he's done some things here.
Oh yeah, let's
and I'm
see
going
that.
to,
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yes.
That looks great.
Look how much character just comes from that without even doing a pose. It's beautiful.
So I don't want to show too much because I want you all to go. For those of you watching live,
Chris
I
and
put
George
the
said no
link.
mystery.
I put the link in there. And then what did you say? Chris and George said that there was no
mystery part. Yeah, I didn't catch that
there
this
you
week.
go.
Thank you, Rick.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. Before we move on, so I love that you're starting to talk about the shows that you've been to. Let me go ahead and say hello to all the new folks that jumped in and see what I've been missing in the chat. So first off, the Stampede is here. People are loving it. And the answer to this, Justin Mohan, is I think I will for the combat creatures, because there's all sorts of, I already put them back in the box. There's all sorts of cool animals we're getting, but yes, thanks for the side note. I love this. I showed this earlier. Larry's Geeky World is saying, I was tempted to pick this up, but I had to tell myself no. I respect the discipline. So
I am envious of your discipline.
And if it's because there are obstacles that you're trying to address, I hope that Ganesha gets rid of those obstacles soon for you, friend. Zio saying, I'll have to wait for a potential retailer appreciation wave repaint. It's just too much after shipping and taxing. Taxes for me. He's out in Europe. I totally get that. And the nice thing about the retailer appreciation waves, they have done now consistently included some of these Figure Obscura figures, alternate versions. They'll do a sort of second version, usually the same parts, but maybe a repaint or, different variant of it. And so it'll happen for sure. I think, and actually, I think there's
pink.
I was going to say it could be there's
pink, maybe. Or that'd be different.
There's
I have seen them like that. Yeah.
Yep, some beautiful paintings of him in pink or blue, and there's just so many cool options. Here you go. Josh Brown is naming that right there. Can't wait for the retail.
Oh yeah,
blue elephant.
Blue would be nice. Yeah, blue would be nice.
See, Josh is not like me. He doesn't mess around. He just jumps right in and just
he's
gonna make it happen. Yes, as folks have pointed out that it's still up. Let's see. And oh yes, folks are saying it's still available. Mythic Dolphin Tiffany's saying, I learned about Ganesha in 2013 from a former coworker who immigrated from India. He learned he thought my 4-H Ramathor was a fantastic Ganesha, and now 4-H made an official Ganesha. That's awesome. Yes, this will be the third elephant I think that Four Horsemen have made for their own toy lines, which is cool. For what is it?
The other elephants.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what's the name of the seventh kingdom. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. There was
Yeah.
one there. Okay.
Yep, there was. And yes, he's got look at those arms. Damn, all
He
four
never
of them. He's
skips an arm
lifting.
day.
Yeah. What's up, No Chewing? Good to see you,
Hey, no
Chewy.
chewing. What's going on?
Look at
Chewy.
this. Rick Jones is saying Ganesha is a dream figure for me. I can't believe it, and
Yeah,
I love
same.
that.
Yeah, same.
Mhm.
Same.
So like, not everything necessarily has to be superheroes or some of these other things. That's what I said about Wukong. Like, I was obsessed with Wukong as a kid, and now Ganesha, and I think that's super cool. Let's see. People talked about the two trunks, which we named. Ganesha shot is a win. Trevor nailed it. Yeah, all of them.
Of course.
Allison, what's going on? I don't think the grapes come off the plate, but I don't know for sure just based on the way they look. But it is it's a Ganesha often is shown with treats, sweet treats, including grapes. And let's see. After Necro, people are gonna be lifting every flap on all the
Never
figures.
Sure.
That's a good point. The Necronominus figure had something hidden under its crown on its forehead, and there were 3 different variants. So, very good point. Oh, look at this. Tiffany is saying, Jeremy Gerard said on Hedgehog Action. Oh, so on Saturday Day Live yesterday. Sorry, I gotta get this to Hedgehog. You can't see it, but pick this up for him randomly, and I just gotta send it to him.
Oh, that is so cool. That's so cute.
So Jeremy said that Ganesha will be at ToyCon New Jersey, but in a very limited amount.
I figured
and
that
it'll probably sell out fast. I wonder if such a thing could happen at the West Coast Mythic Meetup.
I would imagine.
It's got to make its tour somehow.
Could make a great abomination from Warcraft custom. Yeah, if you the body type for sure. And then this whole thing, and I think it's a good. I'm glad they thought about that they separated the sort of drops instead of it being in the same day. Give people a little bit of space because, a lot of folks have been hit hard with dragon buying.
Yeah. That was wild. That was such a wild time.
Mm-hmm. Jason, I'm with you, man. I'm looking for something, but maybe this god elephant will save the world. I could use some hope. In the meantime, I'm looking forward to some new Star Wars hope this Wednesday or Tuesday or season 2, people. Anyways, get on that. Julius Downey, my brother, I appreciate that they're widening the net than just nerds. Definitely. And I've appreciated that since even Krampus to a certain extent, right? But then Father Christmas, when that came out, I was like, this is super smart.
Yeah.
Help other people see like what the Horsemen are capable of in terms of collectibles, in terms of display, decor, all of those things. And they're doing it. Figures actually one of my favorite toy lines, period. It's also a manageable toy line. So,
yeah.
Oh, and Blake's saying, I believe they made more than 4 elephants. Okay, possibly. Who's not here? Who's not here to ask would be Joe G. So I know he's probably busy right now, but you know where Joe G will be at? The Mythic Meetup, West Coast on May 3rd. And nice. Rick has several Ganesha statues already. That's awesome. Do we know what the secret trinket is? We're hearing from folks in the chat that Chris and George from the studio actually said that in this case, there is no surprise. And usually the actual surprise trinkets or accessory or whatever it is comes in the holiday one. So the ones are around specifically the winter holiday, around the Christmas time kind of thing. And then of course, this is not going to be the only elephant coming from Indie Toy Lines. Animal Warriors of the Kingdom has Mambas coming, and as Josh Brown points out, I'm going to need 2 more Mambas to hang out with them. I love it. Okay, let's move on. Steph, I know that Stephanie, I know that you have been to a bunch of different shows in the past, and this is as far as Four Horsemen shows go, the big one every year is in November, right? Legion's Con.
Yeah, Legion's Con. But leading up to that, I don't even know. I don't know. There's been a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say maybe 5 or 6 a year. I'd have to count them.
Wow.
Yeah.
And Michael, I know the answer for you, but how many, sir?
Legion's cons. Oh,
Yep.
I've been to 2, so this would be my
Okay.
3rd one this year. So
Yep. So I got to meet you last year at my first time. He was sitting next to
I'm
me
so
and Julia's
glad you
down
went.
there.
I was so happy to see you
Yeah,
when you
it
arrived.
was so
for
cool.
Sure. I
We
didn't
got
think you were
to
going to make
enjoy.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be back again in November. But we got to sit and meet Michael and got to sit next to him during GCon, which was awesome.
Oh, cool.
This year, it's going to be on November 7th and 9th. So this is sort of, for folks unfamiliar, this is the sort of flagship show for the Four Horsemen. Actually isn't necessarily run by the Four Horsemen. It started by other folks' fans, including Jeremy Gerard, who just happens to now be an employee of the studio. And so this is the place, like the fan event as well, where the Four Horsemen actually show up, and they have a heavy studio presence. They've tied a bunch of things that they do to this weekend, so that they're doing their big wave reveal, they're doing their intern 4-day, and then there's Legion's Con for the weekend. And so this is the place where, like, why don't you kind of give folks a quick rundown of what kinds of things happen at these big Legion's Cons in November, Stephanie?
Well, there are, a lot of friends that you sort of meet and talk to after going to some of these. But if you haven't been to one before, a lot of people in the community will basically set up shop early in the line because they want to get their figures, and they know a lot of times they're in limited amounts. And it's crazy. I mean, you'll see them go in and out of the line like 4 or 5 times, whether it's picking up more stuff for friends, things like that. But it's really supportive. It's a lot of fun. And then we all geek out over other things that we see at the show, and yeah, that kind
Very
of
cool.
stuff. So people
And
get
so
there early, and then
and hang out.
This this year, I think at ToyCon, 1 or 2 people, or one of the I'm drawing a blank. Our friend Brendan, he's going to do like a barbecue or something 10 minutes from the house. So I'm going to try and check that out. See but it's just
That's awesome.
Catching up. It's
Yeah.
It's nice because a lot of people spend time online, not really meeting or talking to the people that they're online talking to, and it's nice. It's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a better connection, I should say.
Yeah. It is great to be able to meet everybody, and you're just in this space with like-minded folks who love the same things you do.
It brings people together. It really does. And I've met a lot of cool chicks, getting into some of the toys, which is awesome to see.
I love that. Love that. Yeah. So, you don't have to be necessarily into the fan, and I mean into the show. Into the lines either. Like as you said, some folks go there for the first time, and then they end up falling in love with sometimes just the community first, and then the toys, or vice versa. Yeah. And so right now you can go to legionscon.com, and all the info for this year's show is there, but also the hotels already sort of opened up, and the block that the Legion's Con organizers have put together for the show, I think we're sold out pretty quickly. But
that usually is the case. Right.
Yep. And
Jeremy will do a second block of rooms.
Yep. And then you can get your tickets now. So there's that. But the idea is that this is their big sort of like flagship show where the studio has officially tied so much to it. But in between the Novembers, there's a bunch of other times when folks get together on the East Coast specifically, because as folks can maybe imagine, it's hard to ship, so many figures every time to do these far shows where you have to fly out or whatever. So the Four Horsemen will, load up a van and drive out where they can and do those kinds of things. And the community is really built up on the East Coast. And so I wanted to ask you, Stephanie, a little bit about like your experience, what that's like to be able to access all the different shows, and what are some of the shows that you've been to where the Four Horsemen have had a strong presence, whether it's the studio itself, a street team, and fans.
Yeah. I've gone to Toy New Jersey, which was one of my first shows, and that has grown and so much that there's a new venue from the previous venue, which was like a PAL building previously, but now it's in a really cool huge gymnasium right near the studio. Excuse me. It's
Morristown, New Jersey.
Morristown, New Jersey, but it was
National.
where like soldiers would go and hang out long time ago. It's sort of stuck in the 60s. It's cool though. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's big, open and wide, and such other vendors come around when they know that the Horseman's going to be there, and they have neat stuff because they not only make or have made Mythic Legions, but there's such a diverse amount of toys that they've also created that you can also see and pick up, which is awesome. Another two shows are Lehigh Valley, which is in Pennsylvania or Philadelphia, and RetroCon. Excuse me.
Oops, I was trying to find Lehigh Valley. That would be this one, the Lehigh Valley show.
Lehigh Valley. Yeah, that was fun last year. It was a street team, and Wolf King Customs sponsored it. But we did like raffles, giveaways. I helped them out. There was pop and swap. People brought some of their figures or fodder to trade out and everything. It was neat. So there's more than just get in line and shop. So
it's like an in between, like I said, like you'll have the Legions Con, but all these folks can still come out and buy Legions, talk Legions, see Legions customizers, bring their fodder and trade, and that's so cool.
And like I said, like a lot of people in the community like other toys as well, whether it's like Transformers or I don't know, any other things that come on. People like turtles, stuff like that.
Turtles,
and we'll geek out over like vintage stuff. Which is fun. We even went at RetroCon.
And dangerous.
Yeah, it's so dangerous. Yeah. RetroCon every year they have Cybertronic Spree is this Transformers band.
Yes,
and so we all go to go see that, which is fun.
If you're unfamiliar, it's a Transformers band where they're actually dressed in full costume as Transformers.
It's so rad. So we had fun with that last year. But
so who was here from, like, is this one that the studio goes to? Is it a street team?
RetroCon, I think RetroCon, I think, yes, they're present there. Lehigh Valley is a street team.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And
Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Who else?
Wow.
What are the shows?
I did go to IshCon last year. Was it last year? Yeah. That was fun as well. And it was about 10 hours away from me. So that's usually my limit, like 10 hours, anything driving. Yeah. I have to, try to hitch a ride with somebody. But.
Yeah. Like so I used to be in a band and we were together for like 10 years and we toured the US several times by van. Right.
Okay.
And you just go around.
Van life.
And I'm a West Coast guy. And so like we were always jealous of East Coast bands because they could go out on a weekend and play like 3 really great shows across 3 major metropolitan areas where they could get a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whereas here in the West Coast, like if we were based here in the Bay Area, we could sort of go up north and like we could go 2 hours to Sacramento where this Mythic Meetup is. But
just things are spread out a lot more.
Otherwise we're driving down to LA. It's like 6-7 hours, and like you're lucky to do one show and you get back on the weekend. Wow. Yes. Whereas you guys have like an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. Yeah. And I bring that up because it's the same thing with the Horsemen. Of course, like it's easy for them to get out to the East Coast, different places like you're seeing here.
Yeah, whether it's Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And there's also Shop the Curiosity, which is a show I'm really dying to go to. It's more above New York in the Connecticut area, and that's always changing. But that seems really neat, and they always go to that one as well. And this year, I think it's even cooler or something.
Are there any others? Not that like it's been plenty already, but that you've been to, or that you, because it's pretty wild to think of how much you've already named, right?
Yeah. In fact, my friends are very good at reminding me, like, Steph, okay, next, right after you get back from ToyCon, there's, I think, the Lehigh Valley shows 2 weeks later, and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, here's the Four Horsemen. They posted up their full schedule. And so, you're helping us build a
Chicago
case
twist.
here, right? These are the ones
Yes.
where they will either be there directly or it's a street team show, and that's all listed here. But there's a Four Horsemen presence where you can buy Four Horsemen stuff, and if the studio's there, you can meet these folks. ToyCon, New Jersey, Chicago Toy Show, Lehigh Valley Show, and then
the Mythic Meetups right after that.
Yup.
Yeah,
And
my
then you
friend
got
in
Shop of
Chicago was
Curiosity.
asking me to go to that one too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And then IshCon, and then Maryland Toy Expo, and then Joe Fest in the summer. And so there's all these different, of course, Georgia's like a little bit of a trek. But from the other ones, the other ones are kind of in this area where you could feasibly drive to. And
Maryland's close. Maryland's maybe like an hour or two away. Yeah.
When you go to these shows, do you see like kind of the same, a lot of the same people that you're seeing at the other ones and then at Legion's Con?
Yeah, but I have to say each year it gets bigger and bigger, and I'm always meeting new people.
Nice,
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah. Some of the same people that come out, but surely there's always new people you get to meet.
Yeah.
So Michael, you live in Oakland. Which of these are you going to go to?
Well, I'm certainly going to the Mythics meetup.
I know. I feel so bad. A lot of times when I talk to you guys, I'm like, oh, I don't want to say anything and be like, braggadocious about, oh, I went and did this, did that.
Right. No, not at all.
No, I'm an empath, so I'm like, oh no. But then a lot of times you're cool. You're just like, oh yeah, would be fun.
Well, that's the thing, and that's why this event right here, the West Coast Mythic Meetup, is actually such a big deal. And so like it's happened 3 years in a row. It's growing each year. This year I've been playing much more active role in helping organize it because
that's awesome.
Yeah, and
that's awesome. It needs people like that to do. For sure.
I think that's it. Like you were talking about the DIY spirit. It's like that's what it needs. And a lot of times when I start to tell people about it, in fact, like Michael, I know you hadn't heard about the last two, and so I reached out to you.
He didn't at all. Wow. Okay.
That's why when I started helping organize, I was like, hey, I know some folks who are out here who I know weren't there before, and maybe they didn't know. So I reached out to Michael and a couple of other folks, and that was it right there. Like I didn't know it was there. And so one, I want to build that up, but I also want to hopefully see more of them pop up. And I'd love to kind of see if maybe we could do something in our neck of the woods. We're both in the Bay Area. And, because I think there should be multiple of them, because what it does is, as you pointed out, every time you go, there's new people, right?
Yes. And each event seems to just have that growth potential surrounding them. And I've seen that.
Yeah.
And with, with
conventions are made. I mean, not just Legion's Con, but, other conventions,
have sort of grown out of this.
Yeah. They all benefit.
Sure.
Yeah. And I think that's the idea, right? It's like, okay, well, one, I would love to see, of course, selfishly, I would love to be able to go to a shop where Legion's figures and maybe people from the studio will be there.
Right.
Or people closely connected. In the case of the West Coast Mythic Meetup, that's happened every year, right? The first 3 years, Nate Barsh has been there. And then the first 2 years, Walter was there. And then who lives out here, who was like, famously like helped them out with their legal work, right? As their contract lawyer.
He's the lawyer.
So it's like, there are folks that we can go and meet. Sir Owain has been there. Owen Ertling, who was the guest last week, he was like basically like he says, I was intern number one, like literally interning in the shop doing molding and casting.
Nice.
And these are folks like you get to meet and you get to sort of see the folks involved.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that if we were to have multiple shows, not only would it be like awesome for those of us who want to go to them who are already into it, but it's a way for other folks who are local toy collectors to check out Legions, right? And maybe go and just sort of see what they're all about, and maybe see more of like the indie toy stuff that's around them, other brands and folks like Michael who are, making accessories for people to buy to supplement, like, to make their collection that much more rad for photo purposes or display purposes.
And that's the thing, like, any of the people that work at the studio or surround themselves with it, they're very encouraging to seeing that and seeing other art and seeing what what I would say inspired others to do. And
100%.
they're appreciative of that,
They support it in big way. Like, they're so good about that. So that's my pitch for, hey, maybe you should consider not just coming to the event, but
make your ass out there.
Here's that RSVP form again. So even if you're not going to go, one RSVP, if you are going, to let us know. But as it says here, in addition to being an RSVP form for the upcoming West Coast Mythic Meetup in the Sacramento area, filling this out is a way to help this sort of event happen across California. Filling out this info this form is a way to be recognized and help us and Four Horsemen gauge community interest in more events like this. So consider doing that. And I will tell you, this guy, not this guy. Where's this guy? This guy. Oh, there's not this. This guy. Insightful Imagery. Michael. You've heard a little bit from Stephanie, like what it's like to have access to all these. I just want to hear from you. And I was joking when I asked you if you were going to go to any of those shows, but like, can you imagine what that might be like? What are you thinking as you sort of hear what that's like for Stephanie and other fans like Steph from last week, to be able to drive out a couple hours and meet up with other people and sort of see this stuff?
I don't know why it's not really more common. I mean, we have some major cities. We have San Francisco. We have Sacramento. We have, even somewhere like Redding, people from the Northwest could come down to, some big cities. So it's really surprising that it hasn't happened. Everything is really just a trip on I-5 and you're there, north or south. You know what I mean? And I think it would be exciting, to have access to the show and figures and just the type of, socializing and networking at those events that come along with them. I think it'd be I'm surprised it's not a thing already. I didn't even know the West Coast Mythic was a thing.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you discovered it for sure.
Exactly. Mission accomplished. Because that's one of the things I want people to know, that it happens, it exists. And then the other piece that Stephanie's highlighted today, is that
aren't there regular toy shows, whether it's Legion's related or not,
There are some. Like in San Jose has a show not too far from us, but there aren't Legions other than Gil Lomas and Major Reaction, who have a local shop out in Union City. They're a retailer, big fans, and they are in Union City, in a place that's kind of a biggish venue. They have like a stall inside a larger shop in Union City their place is called Comics and Figures Addicts. And they are folks who I know are interested in building up an event. So that's actually something we're kind of talking about. And like, that's like, hey, let's go check out this Mythic Meetup. Yeah. And can we do something? So that's what it takes. But I wanted to highlight what you said earlier, that it takes, that all this stuff is done because interested fans and other supporters want to see it happen. And yes.
A pure example of that is what, and this guy, Josh Brown, was saying, a lot of times they forget about the people in the middle of the United States. And with MuskyCon happen, that is definitely DIY. Like, people had a podcast and they're like, you know what, let's put a show on, and that's getting bigger as well. So I missed out on that one this year, but I heard it was a lot of fun.
We ain't trying to forget about you at all. I think that's the thing, Josh. Like it takes folks getting together and doing it and making it happen. And I could see if you and others were to get together, they would, the Horsemen would probably be pretty receptive to working with you to see what they could do to support something like that. So that's the other reason why I've been talking about it so much here, is not just the event itself, but the idea of like, hey, as toy fans, what could we do? That said, Michael is going to be there on May 3rd, and DIY spirit, like this dude embodies it. Last time we talked, he was breaking down how he just sort of like learned some like 3D sculpting and 3D printing and so like you're a man after my own heart, because that was me as a kid, as a punk kid who was like, friends are like, they're making bands. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna make a band. Or how do we do our demo? And hey, could we possibly get this press in vinyl? And figuring that out and starting a label at one point with a friend, and then doing zines. Well, let's make zines.
Oh, you did
so here's
zines?
This guy.
Oh, I got to deep dive into you.
And then we've got awesome. Michael, who's like, I take I do toy photography, beautiful toy photography. If you're not following Insightful Imagery, please go there, Insightful_imagery. But like, this is just a quick sample of his work, and just beautiful work.
Yeah.
But what you may or may not realize is that at some point he's like, I love taking the photographs, but I wish I had this in the shot, or I wish I had that. So his DIY spirit is, well, why don't I just make that? And so these 3 shots right here, at least I know for a fact, the second 2, this one and this one, features some of his work in the photo subtly. Am I right in that, Michael?
Yes, you are. Yeah.
Oh, that tree in the background. Look at that.
You mean this tree?
Yes. What is going so on funny because I dig trees with faces. I have one. Well, that's even more impressive. Yeah.
Where did you get this tree?
That's wild,
Mr. Duggar.
I modeled it, of course.
Yeah, he sure did.
That's funny. Yeah.
Where did this idea come from? Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
No, go ahead. I'm with you, Stef. I'm like, there's so many shots that need trees, and I just don't have any, and I don't have the patience to make, paper mache trees.
Sure. And I love that stuff.
Yeah. It came from the need for that, so.
And I really appreciate the respect that he's organically making these. He's not just relying on AI. So you can tell. I think it definitely brings some authenticity to the shots. That's incredible.
Even better is that he makes them and he's like, these are cool for my shots. But if you're a photographer and you're like, yeah, I want that. What a great idea. He actually produces these and sells them at events like Legion's Con. And now, May 3rd, in Sacramento area, he's going to be having some stuff. So why don't you talk us through like what you've got going on? Let's start with this tree. Where did the idea come from, and how's it going, and what are you thinking with it?
So that particular tree, I think we were on the show one time, Trevor and all of us were talking one time, and we had the idea that we needed trees, and I just kind of, it wasn't in my skill set at the time. And so it wasn't something I could really sit down and do, and because it's in a different program than I normally use. So I really sat and dedicated, hours and hours to learning how to just make a simple tree body. And I had an idea in mind. I just wanted a stylized kind of fantasy twisty trees. I don't want lifelike, realistic oak trees and stuff.
Nice.
But so I did that, and I sat down and I figured out, how I could come up with what was close to in my mind. And that's what I did. Using I did these in ZBrush, and so normally
he
when
casually mentions
well, because I'm not really a ZBrush user. It's so overwhelming. It's so huge.
It can be. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Everything I do is in Fusion 360. So this took me some mental ability with my 52-year-old mind. It took some work. But,
you're selling yourself short.
I was super happy to come up with this tree. I always wanted a face tree because of goblins and skeletons and all the mythic creatures that need a forest. And and so that's where this came from.
And it was understated. Like, it didn't just totally pop out in the photo. I mean, I noticed the figure first, and then I'm just like, some gnarly tree in the background. Sweet.
Yeah, it's to complement the figures. It's it's not first and foremost. I don't, I'm not vain, where I just want to take a picture of my tree. But
I love that you do that. I see that in all your photos. Like you would blink and miss the actual props and everything, and which I think is you're a photographer. And I know that part of this is like you creating things that you want to include in your own work. So it says here that the file is also available on Etsy as well, and that Patreon members have already started printing their own. Like, can you tell us about, like, if folks are interested in your stuff, how they can access it that way if they're not able to, say, go to the meetup and buy some of these, which you're going to have, right?
Sure. The benefit to having these at the Mythics meetup is there's no shipping, and shipping is a beast on these. So, but yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I have my Patreon members. All of them are 3D printers. So I give them the file for this tree free. For all the stuff that I make, they get free files to print their own.
That's really cool.
Every month I just give them
yeah.
lots of files, and so that's a benefit. But if you're not a Patreon member, then you can just go to Etsy and buy the file for, $10 or whatever. I don't know what it is on Etsy.
Well, that's super reasonable.
Yeah,
I got a 3D printer a couple years ago, and it's just still sitting there. And yeah,
I was that way for mine.
I was
for
like,
a year.
I just need a file. Like, let me just see if I can handle, like, getting the supports off and just seeing how it runs through and something.
It's so much better now.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Is it?
And I noticed in the last post that you said it's an 18-hour print job. Is that right?
Yeah. That tree there, if I print it full height, which is just under there's another version of that tree that has a top to it, but I didn't want to sell that one because I figured most people are going to focus on the face in this, so the top was kind of irrelevant. It just didn't matter. So to save myself an additional 5 hours of print time, I used this version. This here is like 13 something hours to print this one. Yeah, they're a long time.
He's beefy.
Yeah, it is. It's robust.
And then that's your paint job and everything, which is gorgeous. Again, as Josh pointed out here, that you're a quadruple threat. I don't know if you saw that as you were talking. I brought those up. But you've just got like, where was it? Michael is like a quadruple threat. So crazy talented. He's a photographer, printer, modeler, painter.
You guys are kind. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Trevor's saying Mike is a monster with the props and behind the lens.
Thank you.
Thanos says it looks amazing. I brought this up earlier, but just so you can hear it. Beautiful photography, Michael. That tree is sick. That tree is so cool.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry's Geeky World. So people are responding. Again, this will be at the show. And when it's at the show, fully painted, is that the idea?
Yeah, they'll come just like this. I have some ready for the show already. I've already got them painted and ready to.
Sorry. Can you hold that up? I didn't realize you had that in your hand. Look at that.
Yep.
Oh, it's huge. That's a big boy. That's bigger than your head.
Yeah. And so, these will be at the show. I have the ones for the show already painted up here next to me. And I'll have some other versions too. So, I just think people would really like it. And that's where it comes from. I know I want something like this, and I'm sure other people want this kind of thing too. So,
and that's what helps build the community for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. What are some other things?
And bringing more people together.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's all the stuff here that like is available, but I would just maybe want to highlight especially anything that you might be bringing with you. So which of these things that are here or something that you'll have at the show?
I'll have some guillotines, which I just redesigned, and they are so cool. I have some on the table behind me, but I do have the guillotines, and the thing about this guillotine that's nice that I designed it a while back, but I just recently redesigned it. It's totally portable, so you can break it down and put it in a box and put it away, or you can leave it assembled if you want.
Oh, neat.
And that really helps you decide whether or not you want to display it or sort of save wall space. And so I'll have those. And they function too. They don't really cut, of course, but the blade goes up and down, and the yoke for the head is adjustable, so you can fit different size figures heads in there. Like if you have a knight or if you have a skelly or whatever, you can fit their heads in the yoke. So, there's the base for the guillotine there. That's the platform. And
it's cool, man, because you're it's like you're doing props, but you're making toys. I mean, effectively, you're a little bit of a toy maker here right now. So you got a guillotine that you said is functional and has sort of this action feature and everything. I know the video takes a little bit longer to get to, but let's see, is it this one? Oh, that's the same one. I'm trying to think.
There's one up there maybe up on the top. I think I did a reel for it. That one, right? What's that one?
I like that you have the metal rivets and like each of the. That's cool. It's a good touch. A lot of people would skip over that.
Yeah, the paint is gorgeous too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, love that.
Yeah. Remember Alice Cooper, like
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So different kinds of figures can fit on there. Like I say, different size figures. And then I've got the pillory. The pillory is I'll have the pillory there also, which is another right down below that. Maybe down a little bit more. No.
Yeah, I remember seeing those.
Maybe back. I did a reel with it up there at the top somewhere, but
did
yeah,
you?
the pillory.
Is that Popeye?
Yo, my favorite, yeah.
So it's not just Legion's figures that he builds for. He does a lot of
Wow.
cool.
Right
Oh, here you
there.
go. It's right there.
Yeah, right there. Yeah. So there's
that is cool. You know, we haven't talked about it. Have you? Do you like to talk? Like how much do these things run at a show?
So the benefit of doing it at a show is there's no shipping. So you know, something like this here, probably be about $60. You know.
Okay.
And it's fully painted. It's functional. It comes with all the pieces and the lock and everything. And you know, and like I say, you save on shipping, so it's really a good. Yeah. Especially like if I have to, this show being local, I could just load it all up in my van, and you know, when I go to Legion's Con, like I have to physically ship this stuff to the East Coast, and so it just really set some fixed costs that you can't get around. And so,
what about the trees? Have you thought about a price for the trees yet?
Yeah. So trees, I have the different size, but something like this goblin tree here. If I was to just an example, if I ship this is instantly. Most of my customers are east of me. It's instantly an extra $27 is what it costs me to ship it.
Wow.
It's nuts, and I ship from home, so I get a discount. But you know, 14 by 14 box and everything, it just adds up. And so something like this at the tree at the convention or at the Mythics meetup, you know, I'm going to try to keep it probably around $80 or so, you know.
Cool.
We'll see with this style tree and the other ones that I have, what I actually come up with, but I try to make everything so affordable. But when it takes 13 or 14 hours to print, I've got a lot of prices to cost to consider.
You're right. I also just want to highlight, because we're looking at the shot here of painting. It's not, you mentioned the printing, but what about your actual, like the
there's
painting,
time in the painting.
And like, look at that. That's
it
like,
that's
not just time, but like the talent, and like, it's great, man. This is, you know, you gotta get paid.
Oh,
but it's really cool. Anything else that's going to be there?
I'll have those foaming beer mugs. I might have a stagecoach if anybody wants. I mean, those skeletons are perfect for that stagecoach. I may have a stagecoach. Yeah, I may have one. I'm working on a hearse. I really want a dark wooden hearse.
I love your train of thought.
That's totally you, Stephanie.
I mean, I don't know that I'll have that there, but you know, I still have to work on that. I'll have these mugs. For sure.
I think I saw either, was it with Nate or someone bought those, and I remember seeing them in the pictures. Like, did you make them a year or two ago or something?
I did have a smaller version that I brought to Legion's Con, and I think Trevor did have some, but these are much bigger and for the heavier drinker. And and so these are definitely a little bit more detailed and larger for the Mythics hands.
It looks so good. The foam looks really, really good.
They are pretty cool. I love those mugs.
If you had these at the show, how much can folks sort of plan for to maybe pick it up?
So I'll sell them in sets of 2 for probably about $25. You know.
Cool.
And then and then what else will I have? I'll have some tables and some furniture that I have made. I have some of these little light up lamps too. These cauldron. I did a picture with what's his name, Azarak or Arazak. I always get his name wrong.
Arazak,
where he's standing over a skull that lights up, and it's this one here. Let's see if I can get this rascal to light up here. I do have a well, I think this battery, I need to replace the battery in it. Oh, I'm big on the screen. Let me I have one that has a different battery in it. I think this one, maybe I put the battery in backwards, I don't know. But I have a light up stove.
Well, while you're looking for that, it's this guy, right?
The other one, the green one.
The other one.
Let me.
This one. There you go. Look at that. Damn,
Oh
the
yeah,
shot.
I have that.
That
one, yeah.
is so fun.
I don't have that
Wow.
still.
See, it's
I
not
didn't
even
see that.
as Trevor said, it's the props, but it's the photos, man. It's so like just brings me in, and like I get a vibe for like what Arizak is and what he does.
He's getting into that alchemy.
Yeah, I
we
mean,
make sure you have the bone in the front, right? He's
Yes.
got the bone on the chair. It's a good
Yeah.
touches.
I mean, those are things that I like, and I know, figures like these need that kind of stuff. So here's the one.
I like it too.
Oh, let me get you there. Whoop. Oh, so cool.
Oh, okay.
I'll have these there. You can't tell the green because the camera is doing a horrible job at capturing the green, but I'll have these there too.
And how much would something like that run?
Probably like $35.
Cool.
I would suggest.
I hope it's not too gauche for me to ask, but I want folks to be able to prepare. Like if they're like gonna head out and they know you're gonna be there, and like you said, it's kind of a deal to not have to pay for the shipping. And it sounds like, if I heard you correctly, like because you wouldn't have the same fixed cost of shipping things out like you would at Legion's Con, you're considering that in the price. So
and
that way people can plan
and also the fixed cost. Etsy takes they take so many different transaction fees out of your sale. Out of I'll tell you what, that goblin tree is listed for $180 on Etsy, but I only probably see, after shipping and everything, I think I only get about $125 out of that tree. They take a lot. Yeah, they do. And so people think, oh man, it's this price or that price, but there's a lot of behind the scenes costs that go into that. I don't even get that price. So,
you mentioned you mentioned your Etsy. Like, again, if folks aren't going to be at the show, he does have the Etsy where you can go. And then he's already mentioned the Patreon that you can check out. But here you can get both the actual item as well as the digital STL files.
Yeah,
there's that.
That's awesome.
Mezco Popeye. I love that you did that, man.
So would you build the scuba diving gear on him?
Yes. So I modeled that in 2 pieces, and Popeye's my favorite cartoon figure of all time.
Yeah, I love olive oil.
Grew up with Popeye, and so I made it in a 2-piece deal where it fits right over his shoulders, and then you put his head in, and then you poke the neck through the bottom, and then there's a lid that goes on top.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
because I couldn't make a hinge on there for the front mask. It would just be too
much,
too fragile. Yeah,
too fragile.
And it would break. So this was the other option. Some of the stuff you really have to figure out ways to make this stuff work, and for the
so cool. Get you Toy Maker. Add that to the list.
It's fun.
Yeah, it's really cool. $7 for the file. Yeah, so folks can check that out. But again, if you're going to be in the area, I know not everybody can be, but you're going to be having a bunch of this stuff. Anything else that you want to let folks know that you're thinking of having at the show, so plan accordingly?
Yeah, just those things, and whatever else I come up. I might have some of those human cages this year there too that I did.
Human cages?
Yeah.
Let me see those. Oh, you even got King Diamond.
Oh, King Diamond? Oh, I like you. He's my favorite.
Yes.
Oh, King Diamond is my ultimate. He's my ultimate rock star, man.
Yes, for sure.
There's the cages.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I've shown this before, and I love it. Yeah, I've been wanting to pick one. I'm like, I need to do photography or something but it's so cool, man. That is such a cool idea. Throwing some bones in there, or like some a skeleton hanging.
We know so many creative people. It's just that's it. Yeah. They're doing it. I'm not even going to try to, unless I'm really passionate about something and make it. I mean, so
but
great.
Look at that.
I need the human cage. Need it.
Look at the highlight of how you might use it in a photo. So damn cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, I'm really, really glad that you'll be at the show, folks. That's it's cool. I'm glad that you now know that you know about the show, but hopefully it's a place where folks know that you might be able to, they might find you to buy your stuff and meet you and talk to you about stuff. I'm excited that you'll be able to, like between you and Carver and Jason from Jay's Armory, just people get to, talk to each other about all the stuff that they're making available. So
I'm so glad you invited me for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anyway, like this is awesome, man. There's all sorts of cool stuff. Let's just see what folks are saying in the chat, and then let's go ahead and
our
close
friend
out.
G followed him. Couple people.
Yeah, right
yep.
This guy, what's up, Weislige?
And his wife Monica.
Echevarria. Right on.
He's all about it.
It's funny you pronounced his name right.
I did?
Because usually on other shows, people make,
Hey, Trevor,
hey,
my theme seems to be punishment this year. So I
say
may
continue.
Iron Maiden.
Very cool. Pink Lemonade loves the trees. Hello, Pink Lemonade. Thank you for coming through.
Cookie.
I've seen you in other chats before. That's awesome. And then I did want to say, I'm sorry that I haven't brought this up sooner, but first off, I want to say thank you to Chicken George for becoming a member of the channel. I think that I appreciate the support. Thank you and welcome. And then want to highlight Brian Brink, who's been a member for 13 months. Thank you, sir. Awesome. Brian's awesome and does such an awesome service for us when we do things like Beta Theory, does the charts or the Has Labs. So here's Nolan getting ready. Good, man. I was really looking forward to meeting Nolan at the last Legions Con, but unfortunately he wasn't able to go to this past year. I'm hoping that we can connect this year, man. Someone agrees with you. King Diamond rules. That's a King Diamond household over there.
Yes, it is.
Loving it, man. Right on.
Rick thinks the cages are cool. Blake also acknowledges, hey, y'all can meet each other because Blake will be at the show as well.
Yeah.
Look at this. Best
That's
singer
awesome,
from
Blake. I didn't know. Yeah.
Right on.
Blake wants a human cage, so
That's
definitely, make it, so he'll be there at one of those, and then
stock up on cages.
I guess so. I'm gonna have to.
You're gonna have to. I'm telling you. I'll have them sold.
Dave wants to, have the cage for you there. So.
1-to-1 scale? Is it 1-to-1 or is it?
A lot of times we be getting our separate items in. It's.
So again, that's for the Mythic Meetup that is going to be on May 3rd. The third, not this one necessarily here. The third annual West Coast Mythic Meetup. Again, you'll get to meet, what do we say? Photographer, sculptor, printer,
all around painter. Renaissance man.
Yes. This guy, he will be there. Mike Duggar will be there. He's local. He's going to have a bunch of stuff in tow because he can. And so come through, talk to him, hopefully pick up some things. Everybody needs a cage on their shelf or a guillotine, or the pillory. Yeah, it's true. You've got this punishment thing going on.
I do. I sort of realized that this morning. I was like, man,
if you knew, so a lot of the friends that I've made and met and seen their collections, the time and loving care that you see how they put their shelves together. I mean, it could definitely use your stuff, and I encourage you to do more. I mean, it's amazing how some of these are. I know 2 people, specifically that would go bonkers over some of this.
Wow.
So
before we close out, I wanted to ask, because I never did ask you, how did Legions Con actually go for you? Was it a good show? Did you enjoy, Michael? Did you enjoy sort of being out there as a vendor and meeting folks?
Oh, absolutely, man. It was my second time, and it was actually my first full time there, because the first time I went, I only really stayed the day, and it was last minute, and I left the next day. So this was my first full time, and I totally loved it. I mean, so many people. It's nice. What's nice about it is you go somewhere, and it's like people are expecting you, or people know you, and it's
so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just a nice feeling.
It is a nice feeling. For sure.
And I totally dig the enthusiasm and everybody. There is such an incredible amount of talent at that place, and in that particular Mythic Legions community, so much talent, and you wouldn't know that half of that even existed. It's just so impressive to see what people do. You know, I
well
totally
said.
love it. Yeah, it's a place to
100%.
draw inspiration from too for other stuff. You know,
Mhm.
and so
And imagine being able to have something like that on the West Coast or near
I
here.
knew you were gonna say
So
that. Yeah.
we
Right.
will be having that here,
Yeah.
on Saturday, May 3rd. So please show up for that if you're in the area. And again, if you're not in the area, definitely RSVP using this URL that's up here right now. As usual, you'll see that other QR code that's down on the left right now. I know that can be maybe confusing, but I will have links to everything that we looked at in the show, including all of Michael's stuff, Stephanie's IG. Be in touch with folks. Like, that's what this is all about. If you haven't picked that up, it's really a tight-knit community, because it kind of has to be. Like, if you think
Mhm.
about the whole indie toy thing, right? You're going up against
Yeah.
like these companies with gigantic budgets like Hasbro and Mattel. And of course, like, most folks who don't really pay attention to action figures are aware that they can walk into a store and see those things, but they don't realize that there's this whole other world where you go online and you can
Yeah.
pre-order these amazing figures or go to a place like a Legion's Con or a Mythic Meetup.
Yeah.
And so
And
that's
those
what
other companies, I just think there's there's more of a disconnect. There's more of a connection here.
Yep.
And that's, a good place to start.
Absolutely.
Get people to, like
Well,
what
that's
you
all it took for me was one free figure from Trevor, and I didn't
Oh,
even
is that all it
collect
took?
it. Yeah,
That's so funny. I do that
yeah.
too to friends. That's all it
He's like,
takes.
yeah, here's a skeleton.
Yeah, just shut up. I don't have to
a-
say anything. Just put it in your
Yeah.
hand.
Right.
No,
Oh, that's
100%.
awesome.
Oh, no,
So
nice.
if you'd like your chance to go, locally in the Sacramento area or in the Bay Area, even a couple hours, drive up Saturday, May 3rd, meet Michael, meet myself, as well as the people who are already featured last week, Owen and Nate. Next week, more people from this list. I'm going to see if I can get as many of the folks who haven't been on yet to drop in even for just a little bit and tell us about what they're going to be bringing to the show, which will be on the following weekend. So here's a list of currently who's there. And then I will say, definitely RSVP, so we know to expect you. Follow us here on Instagram at West Coast Mythics. And there's the address of the event. I'm excited, man. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good break. And you know, Michael, how great it was for us to be there at Legion's Con last year. This is going to be that cool like moment in the middle of the year. Every May, we'll get to do this thing, and then head out to November, and you can,
yes,
do the whole thing.
Nice.
So
I won't have to catch a plane home either. It's only like less than 2 hours for me, so it's perfect.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I will see you there. Let's go ahead and start with you, Michael. Is there anything else that we haven't already talked about that you want to let people know you've got going on before we close out?
Right. No, you guys have been too kind. No, I mean, just like I say, follow me on Instagram. Yeah, Trevor, right? Damn you. And if you like files and you like getting stuff like that, check out my Patreon. My Instagram bio has all the links. And if you want to buy stuff, just check out my Etsy. Or I actually have a website too, not just Etsy, but most people feel more comfortable buying on Etsy.
Oh, that's right. That's on your sticker. I've been there before.
Yeah, but I do have a website. It's just .com and insightfulimagery.com. So, but yeah, that's all,
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, folks, check that out. Is there any thing else that you'd like to let folks know? We didn't barely even got to touch it, but Stephanie is not only big into Four Horsemen as an indie line, but is also really into Golios. And I know you've been doing an online show, right?
I have, yes, at Dork Layer. We've done sporadically, just friends we want to talk to that are putting drops out. Just talk to them and just have fun with it. Yeah. I'm not here to sell you anything. Just, I guess, encourage people to play with their toys.
Sell the joy. Yeah, no, totally.
Sell the joy. Yes. Don't let anyone take that joy away from you either, even if they make fun of you.
I know that you're still sort of working on the next episode, right? But there's a couple of episodes now. Was there 3 episodes now?
There's 3 episodes, and we have some things lined up. I have to just touch base with them and with the schedule. Yeah, we have giveaways and stuff like that. So
cool.
I encourage anyone to tune in.
Yeah, you heard. If you didn't miss that, I will say they're giveaways, folks, and I will put the links to the episodes as well as Bill's channel where it's at over on Dork Lair.
Thank you.
Up after the show, and then of course, anything else?
There was a nice comment. Someone dropped
I was definitely gonna do that one.
Didn't want you to miss them.
Thank you for calling that out. I was going to end with that, but hey, Solo Sinner, thank you so much. Always has been incredibly generous and super supportive. And I know it's like, of course one has to say that, but it's true. Like, and he's such a fan. When we were doing all the Kickstarter stuff for Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, like just, I know he's really into the toys and into the ideas of like, of really supporting folks who are doing, going above and beyond to do some indie work, whether it's YouTube channels like mine or toy lines. So he says, hey, Brick Something, a tip for all your efforts here, but also on the AWOC front. Let me grab your StreamYard subscription for the month.
Nice.
Isn't that incredible? That's one thing about this community, man, is people like this just totally surprise you with their generosity and humble you. It's just incredible.
Yeah.
It's great. And like, I laugh at the end of it, but it's
and you
true,
saw that
StreamYard
yourself.
Is not cheap.
It's not cheap. Yeah. That's good.
What were you saying?
I was like, and you've seen that too this year, Brick. We, where people donated, gave the dragon away.
Yeah. That was wild.
Epic. Yeah. We played
people
pretend telethon.
Dragons,
it worked.
People contributing.
Yes. We played pretend telethon, and it kind of happened.
Yeah, I remember the telethon.
And even with the cares of the Cabal cares.
That's
I donated
this community.
Several $100s back into that, and then just put all my friends in it.
Nice.
And it was fun to see them win certain things.
Awesome.
So
and everything you're describing right now, again, that's the whole idea. It's a community, and as you said, there's sometimes a disconnect between some of these larger companies and their fan base. That's much less so with things like Four Horsemen and Mythic, Cosmic, Figure Obscura, and a lot of that has to do with fans like us, sort of like saying, I don't get paid to talk about Four Horsemen, but I want to. And you don't get paid to talk about Class, but you want to, because we want people to know how awesome these things are. And then there's things like the Mythic Meetup that happen because folks come together. So shout out to shout out to Walter, who started the West Coast Mythic Meetup.
Yes.
Shout out to Jason Albrecht and James Burns, Angel Nolasco and Owen Ertling and all the other folks, Mike involved. So all those folks, you can meet them Saturday, May 3rd. You can meet Michael. You can meet me if that's a thing. So anyway, that's it. And I appreciate you all being here for this conversation. I really, really hope that folks are getting something out of it. And I appreciate you both for joining us again on Easter Sunday.
For sure.
So,
appreciate you too. Nice to meet you.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and close this out. I pretend to be professional by playing music. And then as I play it, I know that it cuts off my voice. So sorry, but you're welcome. Here you go. Bye.
Bye.
Stay folks.
And then there's this awkward part where it's still going, but I click on stream.